Hi, I'm Kamali, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and some of the stuff they're sharing around the world on NewsFeed today. We'll tell you how a vote in Strasbourg could change the internet forever. A giant new mosque opens in Istanbul. We take a look around. Who does this guy remind you of? A Lannister always pays his debts. And bears at play and animals doing stuff. On top of our news feed, is the internet about to change forever? That's what some people are saying after a hugely important vote at the European Parliament. A vote which has made some of the big tech firms angry because it will require them to get licenses before they upload or allow a piece of content to be put onto their sites. But for a large part of the internet, the fact memes and GIFs are not included in this legislation is a small but significant victory. Here's Kevin with more.
It wasn't even a landslide vote. 348 MEPs voted for the copyright directive, 274 voted against, and that reflects the very divided views on this legislation. But now that the copyright directive has been approved by the European Parliament, in 2 years' time, platforms such as YouTube will be responsible for copyright infringements committed by its users. It's believed that the most likely way that big tech companies will comply with this is by running uploaded user content through filters. But internet freedom advocates worry filters aren't 100% accurate and could lead to legal content being flagged. Supporters of the reform, like record labels, publishers, and other content creators, are championing this. They say this is Europe bringing copyright law into the digital age, and they believe this will help ensure that they are rightfully compensated for the hard work they put in creating music, literature, and programming. Google, which owns YouTube, thinks otherwise. It believes this reform will hurt newer and smaller content creators.
Well, as Kevin was saying there, those in favor of these changes have been crowing just about how good it's going to be for all of us.
After all these exciting days and weeks that we had, it is a relief that we have this result now. We as the European Parliament are showing we are standing on the side of European creatives and say that we want them to have a fair remuneration, and we are trying to pave the way for that. I know that many that are active on the internet are a bit frustrated by this result, but I want to tell them that it is not going to be as bad as it was made out to be.
Well, as Kevin said, one of the reasons argued for ensuring this legislation passed was the addition of upload filters. That is software which should automatically detect content that's under copyright. Problem is that tech is not perfect, as explained by an MEP who was against the law change.
The problem with upload filters is that they are unable to distinguish between legal uses under copyright exceptions, such as parody or quotation, and actual copyright infringements. So there are many examples where especially the works of journalists are caught in those upload filters. For example, we saw that YouTube's Content ID found that a live stream from one of the protests against the directive was a copyright infringement because there was music playing in the background. Under German copyright law, this is not an infringement, it's an incidental inclusion which is allowed in news reporting, but the filter is not able to make that distinction.
Right, well, these directives now go from the EU to all 27 member states for their individual governments to try and ratify. It comes at a time when many nations all over the globe are trying in all sorts of ways to impact, affect, and perhaps have a say in the way these huge tech firms are run. So while many say this decision is good for creatives and make sure that people get paid for their work, it's just the latest step towards regulation of the internet, which will, in truth, be a double-edged sword. Good for stifling hate speech, good for stifling free speech. All right, let's take a look at some of the other things that caught our eye on social media. Now, we are loving this video. The Pope was greeting some people over the weekend, and he seemed to get increasingly frustrated with people trying to kiss his ring. As you can see, he keeps pulling his hand away, which is fantastic. He even leaves one guy to kiss his own hand as Popey pulls his out of the way. Good stuff. And Twitter having to warn its users not to be morons by following a challenge set on the site. Now, some people are telling others to change their birth year to 2007 to unlock a new colour scheme. And people who love a new colour scheme are doing it and getting themselves locked out of their accounts because changing their birth year to 2007 makes them 13 and therefore not allowed on Twitter. Think about it, people. And that basketball team who exists to do tricks with a basketball, the Harlem Globetrotters, have dropped a video of a trick shot done from a roller coaster at the Mall of America in Minneapolis. The Harlem Globetrotters were formed in 1926 by a guy called Abe Saperstein. They were called the Savoy Big Five as they originally performed tricks in the Savoy Ballroom in Chicago. The name Harlem Globetrotters was chosen as a kind of dog whistle so people would know they were an all-black team who traveled the world. Now, Turkey's largest mosque is now open for worshippers, and it's quite an achievement. It can take 60,000 people at one time and has loads of other facilities. Errol went to check it out.
Amazing. Wow. So cool. Beautiful. Whoa. Yes, we finally made it to Istanbul's pristine new symbol. I've been watching this magnificent structure come to life over the past few years, wondering what it looked like up close. And let me tell you, it's still massively mesmerizing, if not even more so. The Çamlıca Cami, folks. It's named after one of the tallest hills in Istanbul, a place where you could feast your eyes on epic views of the Bosphorus, or this insanely huge masterpiece that boasts lush greenery and landscaped art. Now let's go check out the inside. It's crazy packed right now. This monumental mosque is not only the biggest mosque in Europe, but it's also the biggest mosque ever built in Turkish history. But that's not all. It also doubles, triples, quadruples, quintuples, sextuples, septuples as a parking lot, an art gallery, a museum, a library, a conference hall, and a workshop for artists. And this gigantic complex will be able to host over 60,000 worshipers at the same time. And if you don't believe me, see for yourself. Currently open to the public, the mosque still hasn't had its official opening, which is why I'm so surprised to see visitors from all over Turkey and different countries across the globe here.
Allah bin kere razı olsun. Duygularımı kelimelerle anlatamam yani.
Venu visiter cette mosquée pour avoir la jolie vue sur toute la ville d'Istanbul. Je suis venue avec mes amis français et voilà, on est content d'avoir une jolie vue sur toute la ville.
Adım William, Fransızım. Önceden burada 2 sene çalışıyordum. Döndüm tatil için ve gördüm, o yeni cami var, her yerden görünüyor. Demek ki oradan bütün şehir görünüyor. Ondan geldim.
I see Ergin Bey over there. He's in charge of getting this entire place built. Let's see what he has to say.
2000 günlük bir çalışmadan bahsediyoruz. Fiziksel olarak tabii ki yorulduk mu? Tabii ki yorulduk. Ama moral değerler açısından gayet dinçiz, mutluyuz, huzurluyuz, gururluyuz.
The Çamlıca Mosque incorporates both old and new, combining and complementing its modern design elements with Ottoman-era and pre-Ottoman Seljuk architecture. Rather than saints and prophets, you'll find geometrical designs and calligraphy, as artists in the Muslim world excelled at non-figurative art. I do, however, like some of the unique pieces found within this mosque, like this ceramic work, which illustrates a map of holy sites of the region. And now for some numerical significance. The central dome right above me is 72 meters tall. A processional number, it represents the 72 nations that Turkey was comprised of. On top of the main dome, there's a fantastic three-piece finial that's 7.77 meters in height. The mosque has 6 minarets, each representing an article of faith. 4 of them stand at a height of 107.1 meters tall as a tribute to the 1017 Malazgirt victory of the Seljuk Turks over the Byzantines.
let's spin around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Wednesday. A petition asking the UK government not to leave the EU has been signed by close on 6 million people, making it the most popular petition in UK history. It will now be debated in Parliament on April the 1st. How fitting. The government says despite growing anger at the direction they're taking the UK in, they will not change their mind on Brexit. The woman who started the petition, a retired lecturer called Margaret Georgiadou, says she has received 3 death threats and she's had to close her social media accounts because of all the harassment she's now facing. And some good news out of the Netherlands. An Armenian family who've been hiding in a church to avoid being deported have been given Dutch citizenship. The Tamadazians had been in the House of God since October of last year. Their asylum requests have been denied, but under Dutch law, the police are not allowed to enter a church while a service is ongoing. So a service had been running continuously at the church they went to in The Hague. Google has announced who will serve on its advisory council to look at how the company develops artificial intelligence and machine learning. The company has been under pressure for the way it has sought to develop AI in the past in conjunction with the US military. They've published a list of principles they say they will work by. One of them says that whatever they do must be socially beneficial. Now, this is the same company which once had a principle, do no evil. They got rid of that principle a few years ago. Europe has decided to trust that Chinese tech firm Huawei are not an arm of the Chinese state and do not represent a threat to security the way the US, Canada, Australia and New Zealand say that they do. The EU say they have a strategy to keep their 5G network secure, and it does not involve banning Huawei from being part of the infrastructure the way it's banned in those other nations. The Tim Berling Foundation will raise money to help people who have mental health problems. It's been started by Mr. Berling's parents in memory of their son. He's better known by the stage name Avicii. He's thought to have taken his own life last April. He was 28. Now, when you think of Siri or Alexa, those voice assistants, you think of that robotic voice, always clearly male or female. Well, now a new company is trying to change that with this.
Hi, I'm Q, the world's first genderless voice assistant. Think of me like Siri or Alexa, but neither male nor female. I'm created for a future where we are no longer defined by gender, but rather how we define ourselves. My voice was recorded by people who neither identify as male nor female, and then altered to sound gender neutral.
Well, as the Orb said, it's called Q, and it's a genderless voice which they want to be added to Amazon, Google and Apple. Now, this could be quite a moment in voice assistants, tech and further. It will change the way we understand gender and stereotype reinforcements in society. Now, the final season of Game of Thrones begins soon, and people all over the internet are delighted, and one man's likeness to one of the main characters is causing some excitement in a village in Pakistan.
Tell me, when which birds get a message to the good masters of Istanbul, the wise masters?
नहीं जी, ये नहीं सारी चीज़ें नहीं पता जी। वो मैंने मोबाइल में तस्वीर तकी थी ना, उसके साथ मेरी तस्वीरें लगी हो। आमने सामने बिल्कुल नहीं हुई है, एक दूसरे के साथ मिले नहीं, वो बाहर होते जी। मेरी बहुत ही तस्वीर चलेगी पहला में, तो उसी वजह से मैं बहुत इधर हर जगह पेंटिंग, हर जगह मैं पूरी पेंटिंग में मशहूर हो गई जी। जैसे मैं जा रहा हूँ मेरी फेसबुक पे पेंटिंग स्टार्ट मारो, मेरी तस्वीरें निकल जाती हैं।
And our animals doing stuff today takes us to Berlin, where some polar bears are having a good old time. Now, this is Tonja, or Tonya, and her cub. The little one was born in December and doesn't yet have a name. I suggest Fluffball. The Tierpark dropped this video on their YouTube channel and say they will make sure that we have more than the bare necessities when it comes to finding out about this little guy. Sorry. All right, that's all from the NewsFeed team. Reach out to me with your questions, comments, complaints and suggestions. You'll find me at Kamali Melbourne. You'll find us 24/7 on Twitter and YouTube, and you can follow me on Instagram. Follow, subscribe and add. See you again tomorrow.